He's a long-time Palestinian community activist and academic. He co-founded and is a woo, 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 and a professor of Islamic law and theology at Zaytuna College. And he's also the first accredited Muslim liberal arts college in the United States. In addition, Professor Bazian is a lecturer in the Department of Near Eastern and Asian American and Asian Diaspora Studies at the University of California, Berkeley. Woo! So please, please give it up for Dr. Bazian. Thank you.
Woo!
Assalamu alaikum.
Maalaikum salam.
And it's really a pleasure to come to USF to express my solidarity with you in your encampment. I just finished from the encampment at UC Berkeley. We just had a rally earlier today and wanted to come. Yesterday we were in Stanford, San Francisco State University. So this is really an international movement right now that is centering Palestine, Palestinians, but also centering oppression in general. And I wanted to really speak about the moment that we are in. The first, actually, SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, was formed in Berkeley in 1993.
Woo!
And a number of us were there at the time, immediately after the anti-apartheid movement, post-US invasion of Iraq, and mobilization for the police brutality of Rodney King, right? So it was a period where many different issues came and coalesced together. But one part relative to Palestine is the Iraq war impacted the ability of Palestinians from Palestine, from Lebanon, from Jordan, from other places to be able to come to the United States, because many of the Palestinians who were working on the Gulf ended up losing their jobs as a result of the US war in Iraq and Kuwait. So all of a sudden, we had a lack of numbers of Palestinians coming to organize on college campuses. And one way to remedy this is to actually create an organization that anyone who is committed for justice can participate. So that's the idea for Students for Justice in Palestine. You don't need to be Palestinian. You don't need to be Arab. You don't need to be Muslim. You don't need to be anything other than a person that is committed to justice in Palestine. And it was built on the anti-apartheid movement. During the anti-apartheid movement, there was a mass coalition that came together to effect change and call for universities in particular to divest from apartheid South Africa. Now, I know many of the campus leadership today, you go into their offices and they might have a picture of Nelson Mandela there smiling, right? They might got some trinket from African countries to indicate that they're all of a sudden upwardly mobile and they recognize diversity and so on. So much so that they might actually be able to dance an African dance because they had a drum that they bought or stolen from one of those countries. Right? But let's just be very real and clear. When the anti-apartheid movement was underway, these are the people that were arresting us. Right? These are the people that were saying we're agitators. These are the people that actually were engaged in a policy that was formed by Reagan called constructive engagement. Can we repeat the word? Constructive engagement. It's like one of those that you have to have what you call post-colonial discourse in order to understand what constructive engagement was. Which basically said we're not going to do anything to stop our commercial relations with South Africa. We're not going to stop our investment because there's too much money to be made. Again, if you looked at Africa, it's the richest continent in the world. We've been pillaging there for 500 plus years. Right? So you're not going to get people who are in the higher up all of a sudden to let go of the gold and diamonds, because we have, Africa is the motherlode of all gold and the motherlode of all diamonds, right? So the upper leadership, presidents of universities, corporations, board of regents, refused to divest from South Africa, and adding insult to injury, right? They were inviting people from South Africa to come to tell us how great South Africa is. And they also played what you call the melanin endowed people card, meaning they brought black South Africans from the Buthelezi side to tour around campuses and to say how great it is in South Africa and how we are engaged in our development, and you should not boycott South Africa because it will hurt some of the blacks that are working in the economy. Does that sound familiar today? They are bringing what you call Palestinians from the 48. They just had a whole tour of Arabs, especially from the Druze area and from the Bedouins, and they're touring them around the universities. They went to Congress. They said it's really great in Palestine to live under apartheid. Yes, we're fourth-class citizenship, but at least we eat hummus that is organic, right? So literally, constructive engagement was the South Africa brand that universities were engaged, continued to fund their relationship with South Africa, and we had relationship with the ANC. Their ANC, the African National Congress, had a committee in New York where we actually checked with them on our engagement on a national level. Is this acceptable or not? Is this actually forward your freedom or not? Is this something that will impact the community? And every time we engage with them, said, yes, we know it might hurt some of us, but hurting some of us today is much better to saving all of us in the future. And that's what the ANC responds. Now, any here drinks Coca-Cola? Yeah, I know it's like 14 spoons of sugar, right? But Coca-Cola was one of those, what you call soft drink. There's nothing soft about apartheid. Coca-Cola was in South Africa. And we had a mass mobilization against Coca-Cola on college campuses because all of the athletic programs, right? You have the Coke billboards, you have all kinds of sponsorship. So we had a boycott Coca-Cola across the country, adopted by the National Students of Color Coalition, United States Student Association. So Coca-Cola tried to play around. They said we're going to sell, the concession in South Africa to a black South African. So we could say we're not in South Africa. Look, we have a black person in South Africa that owns Coca-Cola. That didn't go because it's not about who's in the front. It's what type of investment that you continue to have because you gave legitimacy to apartheid South Africa. Now, how became successful? Pepsi was not in South Africa. So Pepsi began to actually submit proposals to the universities with a social responsibility clause that we wrote. So in essence, Pepsi became our advertiser of a social responsibility clause. So again, corporate competition for market share made a difference. So today we are actually calling for boycott, divestment, and sanction. Right? So I hope you're not drinking Starbucks. Right? I hope that increasingly Krispy Kreme. There is nothing crispy or cream in supporting apartheid in Palestine today. So I'm sorry if you love Krispy Kreme. It has been maintaining support for Israel and expressing their support for Zionism. So it's very important to understand the boycott, divestment, and sanction. It is expressing solidarity with your money, with your resources, and with your institutional capacity. Now, I want to shift a little bit to how the political leadership, campus leadership, media Should I speak about the media? Complicity in genocide. I don't know. I've been watching in this morning CNN, right? Atrocious. Like we're looking through our eyes what is taking place at UCLA.
Yeah.
When some people attack an encampment, you say thugs attacked student encampment in UCLA. It's not a clashes, right? Clashes where two parties are facing each other and they clash. CNN is looking through Netanyahu's lens and covering the news as if they're covering it for Netanyahu. Complicity, not only in genocide in Palestine, but complicity in literally not reporting what we see in our eyes. Right? So clashes in USA, it was not clashes, it was thugs attacking students. And I don't know if you noticed, it took 3 hours for the police to arrive at the encampment. And I know at the university, they have cameras all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
If a cat goes through the campus, they might have actually to call the National Guard to rescue the cat. So you're telling me at UCLA, with a police department that as large as you can have, and I know all the different securities are around, that a whole assault takes place and the police does not show up in time with firecrackers being thrown at the students. Now, can you imagine for a minute that the Palestinians are doing this in UCLA? Or if it was a Muslim and Arab, I will bet you that the CIA will drop from the skies faster than Batman coming to rescue the oppressed in there. So that tells you UCLA leadership either was informed or complicit. In either way, they can't excuse it. And the media coverage is actually covering up for the leadership and the police in relation to UCLA. And that gets you into many of our police departments actually go to Israel for training. Many of our police departments go to Israel for training. We knew that during the Ferguson protest movement, right? We found out that the police departments were actually being sent to Israel to get trained. Not only that, but in the Bay Area, we had Urban Shield. Urban Shield used to actually have a training in Alameda where police departments from the US, police departments from Israel, Shin Bet, which is internal security, and other security services come to train. And when they're being trained, they were trained to be Islamophobic. Some of my students volunteered, because you had volunteered to act out the scene. So at one point, they acted the scene of hostage taking. They gave them to speak Arabic words. Now, you notice that every time you say an Arabic word, all of a sudden, you're a security threat. If you say intifada, you're a security threat. Saying Allahu Akbar, you're about to go nuclear. Right? You say Bismillah, that's it. You're done. And if you carry a book that's written in Arabic, you are a VIP at the TSA. Right? They're going to give you a massage from up and down. That's Islamophobia on steroids because it's actually completely terrorized the use of Arabic language. And on policy level at some universities, you can't put actually a flyer written in Arabic. You have to translate in English. I know their Arabic as second language is in short supply in here, but also Spanish as a second language is short supply. So that's Islamophobia in the structure, institutional structure that criminalizes and targets students and target activists relative to our language. Not only that, I know Genocide Joe, he can't help it. Genocide Joe put out a press release yesterday saying that he is deeply concerned that people are using the term intifada. Can you all say intifada?
Intifada!
Okay, now, back in 1991, I gave a speech at UN Plaza opposing the Iraq war, and I said we're going to have an intifada. Until now, they think that I'm going to overthrow the US government. I know that they think I'm that powerful, mashallah. Right? And I'm trying to see if Harry Potter can give me one of these wands that they have. I went to England, I couldn't get it, right? They said it's only reserved for the king and his, underlings. So literally, the president of the United States sending out a press release from the White House after sending $26 billion to Israel to give them the 2,000-pound bomb, he sits there and sends a press release about the threatening use of intifada. I know he didn't study Arabic as second language. I don't know he's capable. But Genocide Joe, we're not going to vote for you if on the one hand you send bombs and on the other you criminalize the Arabic language. Right? That's what is taking place. And I know some of the Democrats are coming and say, oh, you're going to have Trump. Don't scare me with Trump. You lost my vote. I was not born with a Democrat stamped on my back that you just get my vote for free. You lost my vote. You have to earn my vote back. So, Genocide Joe, you need to actually express yourself that you can't protect Netanyahu. You made that choice. Genocide Joe, you decided to send $26 billion to Israel. You protected and continued to enable a genocide. It's not us, it's you. Genocide Joe, you cast 4 vetoes in the UN Security Council. The last one opposing having Palestine declared as a sovereign equal state in the UN. Genocide Joe, you did that, not us. So in November, we will remember. So don't take our votes for granted. 81% of those between age 18 to 35, 81% disapprove of Genocide Joe. You lost our vote. And I know today they're trying to get us to vote for him because he's going to promote marijuana. Again, some of my students do that, right? That's why they get A's in my class. They're trying what you call to say, see if we could drop you more, joints, maybe you'll vote for Genocide Joe. Well, maybe some will smoke, but they'll forget to go to the ballot box. Again, they're trying to play around with young people, implying that we don't actually understand what is taking place. Let me say the following. Students and young people always historically have it right. They got it right in the civil rights movement. They were on the right side of history opposing the Vietnam War. They were on the right side of history during the environmental movement. They were on the right side of history opposing the Iraq and Afghanistan war. They were on the right side of history in opposing and mobilizing to end the apartheid in South Africa. The adults, who many of them at the time were melanin deficient, were on the wrong side of history. And we need to remind them time and time again. So that's what is taking place in front of our eyes as we speak today and as we continue to mobilize at this particular time. Now, lastly, I know that Columbia University president, right, thought that she was doing her job. She went up to Congress. It's very important when you go up to Congress, like you made it. Right? The cameras are there. People are asking you questions. You think you're sophisticated. A president, it's not every day that a president of a university will hold out to Congress. Usually you just come back from, maybe you'll get into the cafeteria. Right? Few people will meet with you from your own area. But literally, she thought she made it. Right? She comes back and she wants to be the tough sheriff in town to tell Congress that, you see, I'm doing my job. I'm tough on these students. She actually suspends the students first. Again, this is what you call bureaucratic policy making, right? Where they cook it out in the kitchen, right? Not with any spices. So they cooked out this, that we will suspend the students, and then we'll call the police to say they're trespassing because they're suspended. We say, mashallah, she's very smart. And she had a whole advisory, right, with her board and so on. I'm wondering the lawyers they consulted with, right? It must be like, one of those lawyers that take $10,000 an hour to give this opinion, right? So literally, she called the police, the New York Police Department, and don't tell me, the New York Police Department is notorious. It's the largest police department in the world with almost 70,000 members. New York Police Department. Just recently, I want to tell you, I'm going to go on a tangent, but I'll get back to the story. New York Police Department was so Islamophobic, they set up an intelligence unit to spy on Muslims in their area, and they set up the office in New Jersey. And they sent undercover police officers, right, to go in between the Muslim community, to map the Muslim community. And where these people went, they went and mapped all the cafes, all the restaurants, all the places where Muslims gather, where taxi drivers and so on. So next time you're in New York, don't search Yelp. Call the police department and say, where is the best falafel place? Right? Because they mapped it out, literally, right? And had this mapping. In one actually report, they sent a police undercover, paid by taxpayers, to actually go on a camping trip with the MSA, Muslim Student Association in New Jersey. And this person wrote a report about being in the camping trip with the MSA. I know when the MSA goes trip, they must be doing terrorist things, right? They must have been said some Arabic word, jihad, 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 right? No. This person wrote a report. And in report, he said that he actually said that the Muslims that he went with pray 4 times a day. Now, anybody that have taken what you call religion 101 knows that Muslims pray how many times a day?
5.
Now, this was highly confidential report, high security. Now, the joke became on him because he couldn't get up in the morning, so he forgot. While people got up in the morning prayer, he could not get up for morning. So we have a high intelligence report that's completely based on him sleeping. Maybe he was smoking good marijuana from New York, right? So that's what New York Police Department did. Map the community, send out callers all over the place, including somebody that went to the MSA camping trip and gave us an intelligence, highly intelligent. We had to go to court to get actually this, I don't want to say garbage because you could benefit from the garbage. You recycle it, you could actually get methane from it, right? This actually does not even qualify as garbage or even junk science, right? So that's literally from the New York Police Department. So they bring in the police, they arrest the students. She thought that her job was done. Most likely tomorrow, CNN Anderson Cooper, with the powder in his face, is going to have an interview with her, how great she cracked down all these troublemakers. They did not actually understand the response of both the students in Colombia, the broader community. Again, if you know Colombia, Colombia is right there in Harlem, if you don't know. Right? So talk about what you call also commodification of areas in the community and literally shield it away from the community in general. But that's a separate issue we'll talk about. So she thought her job was done. I cracked down on the students, all these troublemakers. We could actually now go and possibly get a bigger grant from the government because we did the job. The response from people completely, I think, shocked them, rightly so, but people responded in Colombia, and overnight, over 80 different encampments developed around the country. So thank you, President Shafiq. Thank you, Congress, for your attempt to be McCarthyist. Right? I know the history, they don't read history, right? We could get them a video maybe on YouTube to watch. So literally, their action of using power, of trying to crack down, trying to silence, trying to limit the students' mobilization resulted in what you see in here. And they actually completely unaccounted for the courage. And this is what I need to actually say. What you are seeing today is courage. Courage in here, courage in Harvard, courage in Princeton, in Columbia, UCLA, San Francisco State University, Berkeley. Humboldt, who would thought? Humboldt University, so far almost over 14 days, have taken over the building and continue to hold it, right?
Woo!
And they can't claim that these are agitators from outside. You can't get to Humboldt from outside. And they can't claim that these are what you call Arabs or Palestinians. There isn't, actually, you can't find Arabs or Palestinians up in Humboldt. You have to have what I call a double what you call sunglasses just to see somebody that might be darker in face and complexion. So they can't pull all this nonsense that CNN and others saying all these agitators coming from outside. If you're an alumni and coming to campus, you're not an agitator. That's your campus. If you're a community member there coming to campus, that's your community. Now, think about it. Corporations are not seen as agitators. Oh, they're investing in our college. They're investing in making us make bombs. All right? While people who want to have justice, they want to have fairness, they want to end our engagement in militarism, engagement in death machine economy, you're an agitator. But let me say, we welcome agitators for justice.
Woo!
We welcome agitators for a different politics. We welcome those that will change history, and it is courage that we are seeing, and we need to celebrate courage and continue to make changes because free Palestine is a reality that is awaiting to be actualized. And that's what we need to say. Palestine, free Palestine is a state of mind. Don't ever let anyone stop you from making history. Those who want to write about it can write about it. Those who want to put pictures in their offices down the line, let them do that. But we will go and make history, and it is taking place in front of our eyes. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're welcome. Give it up. If you have questions or answers.
Does anybody have any questions? Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you.
Here, of course. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, it's a dream.